Congressman Randy Hultgren. He's on the line with us right now. Congressman, good morning to you.
Riley, Scott, how you guys doing?
We're doing fine, cutting our way through fog for another morning.
Oh, wasn't that? Boy, it was like I was taking my life into my hands literally yesterday, driving my kids to school, and it was tough out there, so be careful. I hope it's a little better today.
I think once this snow is all melted, we should be in the clear, no pun intended.
True.
Ready for spring. I'm ready for spring.
So many different things in the news cycle this morning.
But tops, we've been talking a lot. People have been talking a lot about Hillary Clinton's press conference yesterday, where she tried to explain her homebrewed email server, private email address that she used while Secretary of State. I know the media is waiting for somebody to say something stupid on the Republican side to take the focus off of Hillary, and there's some light treading going on this issue. Let me ask you this way. This Hillary Clinton email situation, to you, is it a matter of national security? Is it a matter of a personal failing on Hillary Clinton's part? Is it a legal issue? Did she break the law? How do you look at this Hillary Clinton email story?
I don't know if we know, which one those are going to be. I think it raises all those questions. Certainly judgment and national security, just making sure that we already know other nations are attacking us, trying to get information, doing everything they can. There are bad people out there trying to get any advantage they can. So we just have to be as careful as possible, and it's just this question of why, and why do this? Why open up the potential of something getting misused or taken? Why? It just seems like there was a reason why they were doing this, and I think it's just trying to get to the question of why is that? What were they? Why was she deciding to do this? And so, a lot of questions out there. I think just trying to find those answers, and I think the American people have a right to know why they chose to do this and make sure that there wasn't any compromise of important information.
You were a congressman with access to sensitive, classified information at times, I'm sure. Do you carry two cell phones? How many cell phones do you carry?
Yeah, I only have one cell phone, but I do. My email on my cell phone is official, and it is secure. So it's a official email that I use. I do have a separate Gmail when I'm doing campaign work. So I've got two separate, actually probably four different emails.
Whoa, Congressman, you're confusing us
with
this huge number now.
I was about to go out and buy more phones today so I could have multiple email accounts. You're saying you'd have more than one email account on one phone?
Well, Gmail, you can't get onto Gmail, and so I don't feel real secure necessarily with that, but I do that for our family and for campaign. But then I've got my official one that I use for any official business with my office and things. So it's a little more work, certainly when you're on the computer, to make sure you're getting on the right email. But and then keeping those and keeping track of them. I think it's certainly what I'm seeing is very different than the Secretary of State would be seeing or be getting information out on. But, I do think all of us just need to be careful and be thoughtful and think about this is more than just my convenience. I've got a responsibility, and certainly she has and had a responsibility.
And, back to logistics for just a half second, because I'm curious about this, and you could shine light on this. Let's assume that you found it to be a pain to, try to juggle all of these different things, and you decided, what, I'm just going to portion them out to different phones. You have a staff. Her staff is a lot larger than your staff, but if you so chose, what are your staff members that hold on to your phone for you? Would they not?
Yeah, I would think so. Certainly there's, and my staff, as you said, is certainly much, much smaller than Secretary of State's staff would be. But we do have wonderful people who are helping us and are with us in tracking this. Not all of our staff would have security clearance, so we have to be careful on that as well. I do have staff, my chief of staff, and maybe she might be the only one on my staff who does have security clearance. But there's, that is a concern as well, of making sure that we are protecting information, and we've talked about it, I think, on your show as well over the last couple of years, that it's one of the frustrations I've felt as a member of Congress of how little information we do get, that oftentimes when I go to these classified briefings, I can learn more from listening to you guys than I can from listening to that classified briefing. And so that's a little bit frustrating, and certainly Secretary of State, again, would have much more information, or someone on the Intelligence Committee, I'm not on that committee, would have constant access to more important and necessary to protect information than I get on Financial Services Committee and Science Committee. But all of us, again, have that responsibility and need to do everything we can to protect it and to be wise and whatever it takes, to make sure that we're doing our duty, fulfilling our vow, our commitment to protect the Constitution and protect the United States from all enemies. And so we always have to have that in mind with whatever we're doing and with whatever information we are accessing or sending or receiving.
Congressman Randy Hultgren with us from Illinois' 14th District. It's Riley and Scott on WYOK. I wanted to ask quickly about the final DHS funding bill, the clean bill with nothing attached. You and Congressman Roscom were the two from Illinois who were no votes on that final bill. And there's a frustration that I'm sure that you've heard of conservatives who are told over and over that, we can't fight now, but we'll fight later on this front. We can't do it now, but we'll do it later. And this is the latest. We were told we can't fight now, but we'll do it after the new year with the DHS funding and take care of the president's illegal immigration executive actions. And once again, there was no fight, or I shouldn't say there was no fight, but the outcome was not what we were promised. Now, voters are not the ones choosing the strategies here about how to go after these. They're just the ones hearing the promises that it's how that their lawmakers are going to go about it. So I know that you were a no vote, but there's a frustration out there that people are keep being told this is the fight, and then it turns out not to be the fight.
Right. Yeah, it's so frustrating to me. I know it's frustrating to people who are listening, to voters and citizens, where it's this promise or commitment of, this is it. We are not going to back down on this. And then we did. And it gets back, we did, I think, some very good work back in January in the House of passing, I think, a very strong bill that would have funded DHS, but would have made sure no funding would have gone towards the president's executive amnesty. It's something I felt strongly about. Now we're seeing court decisions that are backing up our position that the president has acted far beyond his constitutional authority on this. But I felt like this was the time. And there was some clear overreach in current funding that just absolutely made sense for us to take this money away. We've seen it over the last year with all of these kids that if they just get here, they're going to be treated and brought in and welcomed in and cared for and given great opportunity, not realizing the danger that they were being placed into. That as we talk, as we send messages, other people around the world are watching. And so we have to be very careful on that. And I just think it was so important for us to take the steps to tighten up border security. We were doing that in our legislation. I didn't expect our bill to pass all the way through and get signed by the president. Mm-hmm. There was good things in there that I think if people go and look at them, 80-90% of the people of America would support. And so my hope was at least some of those things would have been part of it. And unfortunately, the Senate didn't really act at all on this up until like the last week. And the House and our leadership wasn't doing much to pressure them other than to say you ought to do something. I think we need more than that. We need some communication. We need them going over and saying, let's find some areas of agreement where maybe you can't go as far as we've gone, but let's take some steps to make some changes to address what we see as significant presidential overreach, and also really putting people in danger and not addressing real problems down on the border right now that the vast majority of Americans support us taking these steps. We could have done that, and we didn't, and ultimately the bill that passed just putting everything back in that was there before and doing nothing to address the president's overreach was, I think, a mistake and was wrong, and we should have stuck with it, even if it was just for another few more hours, another few more days. We should have done everything we could to try and get that done. Instead, it was passed, on the same day. Prime Minister Netanyahu was here, very glad and very proud of our leadership for having the Prime Minister speak to Congress. But, again, for that to happen on a day when people were certainly focused on Prime Minister Netanyahu, I don't feel like we did everything we could to make some changes, to have some even little steps in the right direction. but instead just to say, okay, let's just forget it and we'll move on, I think really is harmful to me, and I know is frustrating to my constituents.
Speaking of presidential overreach, what's your reaction to the Tom Cotton letter?
Well, I think they absolutely have a right to do it, the senators. I believe all of us were very concerned coming out of Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech, which was just a fabulous speech. I thought it was so clear and so well presented, and something that the vast majority of members of the House and Senate agreed with as he spoke. And there was so much talk of people boycotting the Prime Minister coming and speak to us, which again I just felt like was a big mistake. We ought to listen to any world leader that will come and talk to us, especially one who has been such a good friend and who feels so threatened by this. So we have to, again, be wise in the actions that we take. The president is doing so much without communicating with us. That is our frustration. Did it with this executive amnesty. He's now doing it with Iran, where he's not letting us know. He's not bringing us part of this process. He's telling us, don't let Netanyahu come and speak. Don't put any additional sanctions on. Trust me on this. But he's not coming to us. He's not bringing us into this process. And I think that's the frustration that boils up when a president continues to act as if Congress doesn't exist and isn't a part of the process. You're going to have some people and groups, and 47 senators signed this letter saying, warning leaders of Iran to recognize the reality of how government works here, and making sure that all of us are brought into this process. If they're looking for something that is a lasting, long-term agreement, Congress needs to be a part of that. And right now, the president is again acting like we don't need to be a part of that.
Congressman Randy Hultgren with us. It's Riley and Scott on WROK from Illinois' 14th District. Before we let you go, there is a win to talk about. I know you were concerned, many concerned about the president's plan, the ATF's plan to ban commonly used ammunition for sporting and home protection firearms, and apparently that backlash has been strong enough. The ATF has backed down on that, correct?
Yes, they have. Grateful for this, something I've been outspoken about, signed a letter. I think 237 other House members signed a letter, and over again have talked about ATF having an agenda to impact Second Amendment rights. And the president, again, looking for rules and regulations, not legislation. They can't pass legislation. So they've been unable to. They've tried, but they've been unable to pass legislation to take away Second Amendment rights, sportsmen's rights. So instead, de facto legislation is rules and regulations, and that's what they've been trying to do with ATF. Because of strong response and questioning and input by members of Congress and also citizens, we're grateful that ATF has pulled back from this new regulation that would have impacted sportsmen's choices of ability to access ammunition that police and law enforcement have said is really no threat to them whatsoever, no more so than anything else. And so this was, again, my sense was an agenda by the administration that they were trying to push through rules and regulation that we were now able to push back on and have a change. So grateful for that, but we have to be ever vigilant of what the next thing is going to be that they're going to try and do.
Speaking of being grateful, Congressman, as always, we're grateful for your time. We appreciate it.
Have a great day. Good to be with you guys.